Colorado has run out of pot. There's been such a high demand because I guess the Colorado legislature, they're all high. They've got to be high on pot because they've legalized marijuana in the state of Colorado, and in about 28 hours, they ran out of pot. We are taking your calls, but first, I want to go back to Norm Kent, the president of the National Organization for the Reform of Marijuana Laws, and also with me, Brad Lamb, addiction specialist. Let's see both gentlemen at once. Liz, Brad Lamb is the founder of Breathe Life Healing Center and an author of multiple books. All right, Mr. Kent, I'm going to ask you a different question this time, see what I can get out of you. What do you make of the fact that marijuana is extremely addictive?
That is absolute nonsense. I can't believe you're disseminating such a lie to the American public. You know, Nancy, you're such an ardent advocate for victims' rights. Why not speak up for all those people for the past 4 decades, hundreds of thousands, millions of Americans that have been wrongfully arrested, unjustly prosecuted, illegally jailed, denied scholarships, all because they chose to smoke a joint or use cannabis responsibly. What a shame that you've been an advocate for unjustly prosecuting somebody for so long.
I just asked you what you make of marijuana being addicted.
Okay,
that was the only question.
I'm sorry the other guest has a problem.
Let's go to Brad.
But marijuana
I think
is
I
not
hear
addictive.
something still in my ear. Ooh.
No, but look,
Brad
here's
Lamb.
the thing.
Brad, let's hear your response.
This fellow has all this crafted outrage to your question, Nancy. I want to know, like, what is he getting from this? What is your salary? Are you a lobbyist? Are you a pot addict? What really is your reason
I am a responsible
fight for the right to
cannabis
smoke
consumer,
pot?
And I do not apologize for it.
Fair enough.
I am an
that doesn't take away from the truth that pot
Norm,
is
are
addictive
you a lobbyist?
Hurts a lot of people.
Are you a lobbyist, Norm?
No, I am not. I am an activist who was a cancer survivor that used cannabis to fight the effects of chemotherapy, and like many of my friends and clients, have used it responsibly for decades.
Okay, whoa.
I do not apologize for it at all.
The cow's out of the barn. Let's go back to Brad Lamb. Brad, just like I mentioned earlier, whenever I ask a pothead, why do you want pot legalized?
Don't use the word pothead.
They start talking, I was not referring to you. They start talking about medicinal marijuana, but that's not what we're talking about. It is addictive,
look,
Brad.
I think it's heartbreaking that we're sitting here having the conversation about passionate people fighting for the right to help people stay sick. I'm all for medicinal marijuana, and I actually am against a lot of the prohibition that's putting people in jail instead of helping them get treatment. But pot is addictive. A lot of people's lives are ruined because of it. And to say that it's not is just a lie.
Well, here's another question,
and I'm going to. Addictive is so
Norm,
wrong.
we're moving on. We're moving on to another question. Here's my question, Norm. According to the Department of Health, 39%, that's nearly 40% of drug-related emergency calls have to do with pot.
You know, Nancy, that's not true. I don't know where you got that fact or statistic from. I would love to see it documented. Yeah, I'd like to see that. I'd like to know. I'd like to know whether or not those people. You know, there are people that go to the emergency room. No, they go to the emergency room because they were in car accidents, but we didn't abandon the thought of having vehicles in our society, even though 50,000 people are killed a year in a car.
You're not even
they
making
have
any
to drive
sense. You're talking out of your head now. Jump in, Brad.
I'm talking logically and intelligently.
Well, the trouble with pot is if it's no big deal for you, it's no big deal. And then what about for the hundreds of thousands of people whose lives are terribly upset, are completely ruined, are completely thrown off track because of their relationship with pot, Norm? So for you to stand and advocate or sit and advocate that it's no big deal.
That doesn't mean everybody else should have their freedom restricted.
No, but I will tell you that
okay, guys, Brad Lamb, I always I get very suspicious when people refuse to answer a question outright, questions that are very, very simple, and duck and dodge and jump on another bandwagon like medicinal marijuana, like alcohol, like why don't we outlaw cars, instead of answering the question. That's very, very suspicious to me.